Welcome to the Flight Club Podcast, a woman's guide to leaning out. We give you a behind-the-scenes look at business launch and growth through the stories of successful female entrepreneurs. Here's your host, Felina Hansen, founder and CEO of Hera Hub.
Hello and welcome. I am really looking forward to sharing my interview today with you with Michelle Beauchamp. She is an entrepreneur at heart and has been an entrepreneur for a while. We're going to dive into her path, her journey, if you will, but I want to share a little bit about her before we do that. She loves helping others recognize their greatness within. That is her passion. She is joyful when she sees others achieve the results they desire and deserve. Michelle's expertise is in sales and leadership. Her training and coaching business, the Beauchamp Group, I'm just going to say it that way, and we can correct here, provides professional and personal redevelopment for community and business organizations. And she does that through facilitating mastermind groups. She also coaches individuals and teams in the subjects of leadership, sales, speaking, and team effectiveness. And Michelle is on the teaching faculty of the American Management Association at Brandman University. And she is also a certified member of the John Maxwell team. So welcome to the show today, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Felina. You said the name of the company right.
All right, good, awesome. Well, I questioned myself because your last name is so beautiful and elegant, right. And I'm like, am I supposed to say Champ Group or?
You got it all right. Thank you so much for inviting me to join you today.
Absolutely excited to dive in. So let's go back. Take us back. Where are you from, and what'd you do, and what did your career path look like leading up to the launch of your business?
Okay, so we're going way back.
We're going way back.
Kind of funny. I tell people, you know what? I've had a lot of birthdays, so I've got a lot of experience. That's funny. I'm from Denver, Colorado, actually, and I grew up in Denver, and then we left Denver we left Denver in 1990, and we have been in Orange County for it'll be 25 years in January. So long time. So my professional career started, actually, the job that I really liked a lot was working for Coors. So fun. That job, and I'm going to date myself here, that job was promoting beer on college campuses. At that time,
there's no better job. That sounds amazing.
I know. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. That job was super fun. And how long ago it was is the drinking age was 18.
Wow. That's awesome.
So what we did was we worked with college campus, usually fraternities and sororities, to be our campus reps, and we promoted beer on campus. That was such a fun job. And I lived in Denver. My territory was Northern California, so I was always at Berkeley and Stanford, Northern California, and I love California. I live here now, and then Washington and Idaho. So, it was really a fun job. It started in the marketing department. Funny enough, we were not able to prove that the money that was spent was generating sales. So they transferred us to the sales division. And honestly, and kind of as a side note, Felina, when I'm training, I say, okay, raise your hand if when you grew up, you wanted to be in sales. And I'm telling you, almost never does a hand go up. The hands don't go up. You just kind of fell into it. Then it was good. So then you stayed, right? So I actually was not happy when it went transferred over to the sales department, and they changed my territory from what I told you, California, Idaho, Washington, to Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Very different. Yeah, very different geography. So I ended up leaving Coors, and I went to go work in telecommunications, and that's where I spent the rest of my corporate world is in cable. I worked for Time Warner in Denver, and that job was in the new business development department, and they were trying to figure out whether or not advertising was a viable business on cable. So this is how long ago it was. And, I liked cable a lot. It was, really fun. It was, the pioneer days where you tried it, and if it worked, fine. If it didn't, fine. And then I ended up transferring, got a promotion, and went to work in what was called the national division. And what I learned about myself was I was not a theoretical type. I decided that I would rather roll up my sleeves and do the work. So in the corporate role, the job was a lot of theory, a lot of discussion, and I used to travel a lot because my responsibility was to go to the different markets and help them sell advertising. So what I decided was I really wanted to be in the field. And of all places, we moved to Fresno, California.
Oh no! My family's from Fresno. I didn't grow up there, but my parents did. So I can eye roll with no. Fresno's
no. Yeah, right. That's funny. And you'll appreciate this because we moved in July. And so the weather forecast, it was funny. I remember looking at the weather forecast and it was 107, 109, 111. I was like, oh my gosh. And I told my boss, I said, you know what? You did not tell me that it gets that hot. He said, if I would have told you that, you wouldn't have taken the job. Oh my goodness. But it just worked out good timing for our family to move. And so we lived there for 2.5 years. And I actually have to share this. What I liked about Fresno was that people were genuine. They were real. They weren't the facades. I mean, what you saw was what you got. Now, the weather was horrible in the summer and foggy in the winter, as you know, right? So we did that, and I went there to go be the division manager at the cable company. So that's what I wanted to do, roll up my sleeves, have a team, have face-to-face interaction with the clients, and really establish the priorities and try things out and, lead the team. And so it was a good move because it set me on the path that I really, wanted to go on. We left there after 2.5 years. My husband got a promotion. We moved to Portland, Oregon, and I did not like Portland, Oregon. I am a sunshine kind of girl.
Yeah.
And even in Denver, where the weather was cold a lot and it snowed, but the sun shined a lot. So we only lived in Portland for 1 year. And when I was there, I didn't get a management job, so I went back to sell. So I had, a list and did that. And we only lived there 1 year. And then I got a call one day, Selena, from a headhunter who was a really good headhunter because I had talked to him when I was in Denver, and he left me a message one day. I came home from work, and the message was, Michelle, this is Jamie. I know that you like Southern California, and there's a job opening in Orange County. And I was like, oh, my goodness, Lord, thank you. So we came to Orange County, and we've been here ever since. And when we came here, that job was at Times Mirror Cable. And so that was for I think the title was Division Sales Manager. So anyway, I continued on that path of leading a team to sell. And so that's where my specialty is, sales and leadership. And I did that for about 3 years. And, my sons, who are fully grown men now, they were young then. I think my youngest was like 2 and my oldest was like 7 or 8. So I really had never stayed at home with the kids. And I thought, I really want to see what that's like. I feel like they're at an age where I want to be more present for them. And so I was able to do that. And, then what I discovered is that I wasn't really a stay-at-home type. I needed to do more. I mean, I did the whole PTA and I did all that, volunteer with all that, but I needed to work. So that's when I started my entrepreneurial ventures. It's funny, you can't remember the order, but I had a franchise to a direct mail company, so I sold advertising, right? And then I became a Mary Kay consultant, and then I became a director and a senior director. So I did that for 7 years. And then I had a different training company. So throughout this 12-year time frame where I stayed away from corporate, that's when I really got a taste of entrepreneurship. And then the economy hit in 2008. And so, long story short, I needed to go get a job. So I went back to cable. And it was a blessing because Time Warner had a position open in the Costa Mesa area, so it was right in my backyard. So that was to open up a new office because they were expanding and they were opening up new offices. And so, you know what, blessing, got the job, and that's where I stayed for 10 years. And then in September last year, I left and now I'm back full time into the Beauchamp Group. So that was kind of a lot of history. Like I said, I had a lot of birthdays.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's great. Well, let's dive into your company. You've been focused on this full time a little over a year. What types of clients have you been working with? What type of work have you been doing in the last year?
Okay. So my focus is sales and leadership, both of those. Because what happened is I thought, okay, Michelle, you know, think about the things you've done in the past and what you really love. And what I've done is I've sold always, you know, and then I've, for most of the time, also led teams. And my passion is selling. My passion is leading others, trying to set the example for them and provide them the tools, be a model for them so that they can, like you said, when you were introducing me, become their best self. So, so who I like to work with it's a couple. One is individuals. And when I say that, here's how I describe the individuals that I like to work with, because I lead mastermind groups and I do one-to-one coaching. So the individuals who I like to work with are committed to their personal and professional development, and they embrace collaborating with others so that they can become their best self. It's become really clear to me because some people might say they want to do something, but what's important is to be consistent and accountable. Mm-hmm. So when I work with people, I tell them that when I'm working with you, I want you to be accountable. I want you to be consistent because that's how I can help you grow. And so the individuals who would receive one-to-one coaching and mastermind groups. The other category are the companies. And typically they're the smaller to mid-sized companies. They might have 25 employees or more. I'm not really seeking the huge companies like the Spectrum and Time Warner that I left, you know, not really seeking that. I like to roll up my sleeves and help the people and have the conversations about what's not working. How are we gonna change this around? How do you envision it? What can I do to help? Let's get busy and let's start working together. So the companies would be twofold. One would be their sales team. Their sales team, typically the frustration is they're not making their numbers. And One thing that I always say is the numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
You know,
pretty simple. Yeah. That's why I love sales. It's all right, it's black and white.
You know what it is? It's black and white. There is no gray, right? It's like, this is the budget, here's your actual. So there's variance here. Where's the gap? Why is there a gap? So typically that's it. But there are a number of reasons why that's happening. And a lot of times it's because they don't have the right tools. They're not using the tools. They're doing too many proposals. They're not closing enough business. They're just throwing stuff against the wall and hope it sticks. And they don't have a strategy. They're not following it. They're not being consistent. They're not using the tools that are provided, and sometimes the tools are outdated. And a lot of times they might have gone to a training workshop or a training event, but then it's not reinforced. And that is a big challenge and something that I'm trying to close, you know, help companies understand. It's not just let's have an event and come to training for 2 days. Then what? That's all good, but then what happens?
But then what?
Yeah.
So,
it's
so
interesting.
You know, yeah, I want to dive into a couple of the things that you talked about, Michelle. Okay. Consistency. I mean, you said it, and I think in entrepreneurship and sales, I mean, as entrepreneurs, we are salespeople. You know, whether you like it or not. Yes. I don't care if you're a CPA or an attorney, you're still selling.
Exactly. You need some clients.
Exactly, and so. You know, what frustrates me as somebody who has been in marketing my entire career is everybody wants to do all the marketing stuff, right? They want to be on Facebook and LinkedIn and do all this stuff. I'm like, okay, girl, what is going to turn into dollars here, right? Like revenue generating time is so critical. And oftentimes that's picking up the phone, it's calling past clients. It's consistency. Like you said, it's discipline. And I'm just shocked at how many people do not follow the process and do not discipline themselves to do that. As somebody who is never the smartest person in the room, I've been, I think, successful just because I'm darn diligent, and I will just keep doing and going, right?
Right. You just don't stop. And you know, exactly. I mean, see, and you're right, because we can create these habits, but do we keep going? That's the thing. And it's not easy. I mean, it's hard. I mean, you know, selling, it's not easy, and it's not for everybody. It's not. But as you said, regardless of what your profession is, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to get some clients, and you can't just sit back and relax when you get a few, because you never know how long they're going to last. And if you want to grow your business, you need to get different clients and have different services that you offer. So yeah, I find that consistency is a challenge for people, because they'll get excited about it, but then it becomes mundane. But it becomes a habit, and you measure the progress. So one of the things that I myself have learned to do and encourage others to do is celebrate the small victories, you know. So you said you were going to make 5 calls and you made four. Okay. So last week you made 3, the week before you made 2. So celebrate that. Now, how can you make 5 that you say you're going to make? But so celebrating the small victories is something that I have learned to do, like I said, to myself, and really help others to do. When they recognize that, they seem to get it, but you do. Consistency and persistent, right? And that's the other thing. You really have to be persistent. If you don't, I mean, if somebody told you no once, this is what I tell people. You live to breathe about it, by the way. If somebody says no, you're telling me about it, so you didn't die because you got
exactly. I always use that too. I'm like, did somebody die? No. Okay, we're good. Like, no, nothing's gonna implode here.
Yeah, right. Because you know, this is not. It's funny because this is not life or death. I mean, I have had a couple clients who were like in the medical field, and that was life.
Okay, valid. Yes.
They were dealing with. Right. Yeah. But what we're doing now, not life and death. So people, if you want it enough, I think, you know, at the end of the day, I think people have to realize, if I want it enough, so how bad do I want it? If I want it enough, I'm going to keep doing it. Because if you believe, and it has so much to do with mindset. I mean, you know, there's just so much about the way you think, and you get, you know, what you focus on is what you get, and how you think is who you become. And, you know, all that is very true. So if we start thinking, person's going to say no to us. And if we start thinking it's not going to happen, then, you know, it's like they said, you know, you're right. Abe Lincoln, right, that said that if you think, or was that Henry Ford that said, if you think you can, you're right. If you think you can, you're right. So how you think is what's going to happen. So you better watch your thinking. And that's what you better watch the language and your speaking. So
such a good point. I want to ask you, in your coaching and working with folks, if you come across somebody who isn't in the right mindset, how do you get them in the right mindset, or what tools or things do you suggest folks do to shift that mindset? I know that's just like an easy question, right?
Yeah. You know what? And there's a lot of things, but that's a good question. There's a couple things. One is I ask people to think about when they had success before. Because, you know, they likely have had some success. So I like to say, okay, when you felt really good and had some success, what did you do? Like, how did you get that success? And then they start thinking back. In fact, I just had this conversation with somebody, and she's like, yeah, you know what, I did. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to pull that out now because I remember what I did, you know. So think about the success that you had in the past. And then I really like journaling. And I like vision boards. So I've been doing vision boards for years. I started it when I was, you know, when Mary Kay is what got me started in the vision boards, and I still do it. I'm sitting here looking at mine right now. But I really believe that you put in front of you what what you want, and then you work toward it. I mean, so I suggest, and in our mastermind group this year, we actually created vision boards at the beginning of the year. So I like to have people pull from magazines, words, go online, find what appeals to you, and then put them in front of you every day so that it can remind you, what one thing do I need to do today that's going to help me get what I see on that vision board that I said that I wanted? So, and then the journaling, and so the reflecting. I've learned a lot from John Maxwell about the value of reflection. And it's interesting because we're so busy going, and okay, I did that. Okay, I did this, and we don't stop and think. Okay, I did that. How well did I do that? And if I didn't do it well, why not? Oh, you know what? I could have tried this. And it's interesting what kind of thoughts, back to that again, thinking, but it's interesting what comes to us when we pay attention to what we did and how we thought and what our behavior was and how we felt about it. So journaling and reflecting, those go together, vision boarding. And the other thing I'm big on is affirmation. And many times I'll ask people to create an affirmation, and some people do it. And then again, but then are you consistently saying your affirmation? I mean, you create it and you say it for 2 weeks and then you don't, then you wonder why you're frustrated. And the affirmations for me charge me up. They make me feel like I am. And I suggest people say, I am, not I want to be or I will be, but I am. Whether or not it is right now, when you say it enough, then you begin to believe it and you begin to become it. So those are some things that I suggest for people to do.
Yeah, great advice. Do you want to hear my affirmation, Michelle?
Yeah.
It's think bigger and get out of the way.
Oh, I like it. That's short and to the point. But see, then you started with think, right? Look how you started it. Think
bigger and get out of the way.
Get out of the way. Get out of your own way.
Exactly.
Yourself, right?
I've got a great team. And, if I can, continue to think bigger and grow and just get out of the way.
Right. I love
work.
that. Get out of the way. Absolutely. And mine starts with, I am making the income that I desire by using my gifts, talents, and passions to help others achieve the greatness they desire. So that's the start of mine. And, I created that soon after I left that job because that job paid me a lot of money. So I wanted to start to think it and verbalize it that yes, I am making the income and I am making a difference for others. So that I love that you have that affirmation, and I so encourage people to do that. It just powers you up. Doesn't it? When you say get out of the way, it's like, okay, I moved, I'm out of the way.
Oh, too funny. That's awesome. Well, really, really great advice, Michelle. Let's talk a bit about what's on the horizon for your business. What's next?
I'm excited about what's next. Growth. And by the way, kind of go back. One other thing I like to have people do is choose one word for the year. That's another thing I started a few years ago. Choose one word for the year. And again, put that on the vision board and keep that in front of you and tell others and that kind of thing, right? Because then we have to get back to the accountability. But so my word for this year is flourish. So that's my word for this year. And I'm kind of thinking now, what's going to be my word next year? I'm not sure, but what's on the horizon for me is to flourish, meaning continue to seek out and attract people who want to grow so that I can build my mastermind groups. I lead mastermind groups. I've been leading an in-person mastermind group for 4 years. I actually started that when I was working full time. And then I'm starting to do virtual mastermind groups now too. So I want to build mastermind groups both in person and virtual. And mastermind groups consist of individuals who value the collaboration and want to learn and grow. We typically follow a John Maxwell book, and then we apply how that resonates with us. The book we just finished is called The 15 Laws of Invaluable Growth, and that's one that I'm doing the virtual mastermind group on now. So that's a personal growth chapters like the law of the rubber band, the stretching that's required and the tension that comes with it, but how we'll survive it and thrive as a result of it. The pain that we have and how we keep stepping, and consistency is a chapter. So that one's the personal growth. The next one that we're going to do is a leadership. That's one of John Maxwell's newest books, Leadership. So more mastermind groups, and then more companies to work with so that I can help them make a difference with their leaders, because I do the leadership training as well. And we have some fun games that we play. One's called the leadership game, one's a sales game, and one's a communication game, and so much fun. Those are a lot of fun to play. What makes them fun is that people tend to be so busy, like we said, working in their silos and just not even collaborating. So topics get discussed that typically get shoved under the rug, and they come out, and the recognition of what we really need to do as an organization comes to fruition and helps them to start communicating and strategizing and planning and changing. So more of those games to put people, and I want to be able to speak in front of more groups so that I can help them make a difference, and then they can see that whether or not it makes sense for them to partner with me. So I want to grow my partnerships with companies and organizations and individuals.
Love it. Awesome. Well, if our listeners want to get in touch with you, Michelle, what's the best way for them to do that?
I would love for our listeners to get in touch with me. And I would suggest to go to my website, which is www.beasaleschamp.net. So it's beasaleschamp.net. That's the website. I would love for them to come in, and they can fill out the form, and we can schedule a consultation, and they can check out some of the programs that I've got available.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Thanks so much for your time, Michelle.
Thank you, Selena. I love your affirmation. Thank you so much for inviting me again. It's been fun. The time went fast. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you for joining this week's episode of Flight Club, sponsored by Hera Hub. We look forward to sharing more success stories with you soon.